Hey y'all, this is the Christmas edition of the Mandela Effect for Guy Fawkes, the 2017 Christmas edition. If you hear my dryer go off in the background, that's just the way it is. Work must be done. But let's just kind of go through the list. I joked about doing this with Scarab on Christmas Day, just going through the list of things that we have heard reported as change. So, of course, Rudolph here. Many of you may remember reindeer games, and he had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw, do you remember it ever being, you ever saw him or ever saw it? So there's reports of it being referred to as him, and people clearly remembering that. The reindeer names are called into question. Whether or not you remember Donner or Dunder or Blitzen or Blixen. These are some questions about that, and if you dig a little deeper, you're going to find a blurred and blended explanation for why that suddenly is, or why, I've been around long enough, never heard these names, but now they say they've always been part of the poem and song. Not Donner and Blitzen, but anyway, Blixen. Again, there's Mandela Effect threads on this. Donner. It goes back to like some German wording, things like that. But that's I can't say for sure that this is a Mandela. A lot of people say it is. I know it's new to me, and I saw this last year. Nightmare Before Christmas, they say Tim Burton and his contribution to that movie, directed, produced. Did he do both? Did he do just one thing or the other? Some people clearly remember what his contribution was, and that is a question. And I'm looking for your comments in this one, and any Christmas Mandela that I do not mention, go ahead and put it down there. In that poem, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, a lot of people remember it saying Ma in her kerchief, but it's actually Mama. The Jingle Bell Rock song, people remember it being riding in a one-horse sleigh or maybe sliding, but they don't remember gliding, and that's what it is. Gliding in a one-horse sleigh. Jingle Bell Rock. This, and I thank Scarab for pointing this one out. This year you can buy upside down Christmas trees. Here's one available at Walmart. And apparently this has been a thing for a long time. Hundreds of years. Now, in my 50 years on this planet, I never heard of such a thing. Never saw an image like this before. But this is suddenly, and last year when we were looking at Mandela effects for Christmas, this was not on the list. All the researchers out there, nobody was pointing this out. Now, I'm not a researcher like Dan at Scare Performance is. He's a researcher. Fiverr is a researcher. People have asked me to research things for them. I am not a researcher. I'm just telling you what I'm observing and the things that I've seen change around me. And because I've been watching it for a while, I guess I can speak from what I've been tracking. And some of these are very powerful for me, and I'm sure this is the same for you. Some of these are very powerful, and you clearly remember, and then others might not be. They're kind of vague. But we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. What is this one about now? I'm trying to remember what... Oh, I remember. Now, sometimes people are singing this with, I wish you a Merry Christmas, and it should be we. That could be a big deal, maybe not. There's the plural and the singular theme going on there. So whether or not that's any kind of a change, I won't say for sure. Up on the rooftop, on the housetop, not rooftop. Maybe it was rooftop, but up on the housetop, click, 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 down the chimney with, if you remember old Saint Nick, that would be incorrect. It's good Saint Nick. So that's a Mandela effect for you. There it is. 'Twas the night. Now here's the song, 'Twas the Night before Christmas, right? Notice the ending here. The ending is Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Now that's what I always remember the ending being of that poem. However, if you look at the poem, which makes no sense, it was Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night. I've never heard anybody say Happy Christmas to you, but here it is in this very well-known poem. And the other things in this poem that do come up are you've got the mama in her kerchief, and you've also got this, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. Kind of a tribute to zombie apocalypse or Plants vs. Zombies. I don't know, but everybody seems to remember settled down. We settled down for a long winter's nap, but brains. So 'twas the night. That one's got some interesting. This one is pretty big for me, and I had this chat with my wife this morning. Joy to the world, the Lord has come. I noticed in church last Sunday they were singing this song in the choir, and they sang Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Now this is 2017. Folks, I'm telling you with all honesty, at the bottom of my heart, I'm being honest. I can tell you as an absolute fact, this is not a vague memory for me. Everywhere I heard this song last Christmas, and probably the one before that, it was Joy to the world, the Lord is come. And I thought that makes no sense grammatically, but whatever. It was just is. It was not has, it was is. I asked my wife if she remembered that, and she has no memory of that. None. She says I'm crazy. But I know that used to say that, and probably if we dig, we're going to find some explanation for the is version, that there's some scripts written like that, and there might even be I swear there's somebody at this computer called the reality computer, and they're at the keyboard and they're saying, what can we do today to blend this shift that people are seeing, or to explain it because people are catching us. There's somebody in there just adding things to this reality, and they're mixing and blending things like this. But this right here is a reversal for me at this time, because I didn't see anywhere the Lord has come had just disappeared, and it was wrong everywhere I saw it last year, but now it's back. And I will say this year, this Christmas time is a much happier Christmas time than the place I was at last year. It was a darker world. And when I say darker, like a Donnie Darko, it was dark. It was a darker reality. It was not as nice. It was much more naughty. This was the reality where the Chevy logo was slanted all the way through, and cornflakes, corn was spelled K-O-R-N. This is a reality where things like Hanna-Barbera was spelled Hanna-Bera, and Vicks was V-I-C-S. This reality was a little darker back then. This reality that I am in now is lighter, and I say reality bubble. Like, this is my personal reality bubble that I'm observing. Your reality bubble might be different. And I can say that I believe that we do impact and change the reality or reality bubble that we're in based on how we focus on changing things within us. And last year I had that September 23rd experience where I talked about that in 2016. From that moment on, I was focused on changing me on the inside. And I believe over the course of the year, my focus on changing me on the inside has had an impact on my reality, my Mandela affected reality bubble. It's just a theory, but continuing. Remember in 2015, the Queen saying, enjoy your last Christmas? A lot of those in the Mandela Effect community remember that. I'm not saying that's a Mandela Effect. I'm just saying it's an interesting point at which the Mandela Effect seemed to blow up in recognition and acknowledgement. The Queen says, enjoy your last Christmas, and then that gets scrubbed off the internet because everybody thinks that's the craziest, most bizarre thing to say to the world. And then Mandela Effect breaks out. I mean, it gets popular. You have to admit, in 2015, the awareness of the Mandela Effect. I'm not saying that's where it began. I'm just saying that general population awareness grew like crazy starting 2015. Reindeer names, we just said Donner and Donder. Deck the Halls. The song's called Deck the Halls, but last year at this time, everywhere I looked, it was Deck the Hall. Even though the title might have been Deck the Halls, it was Deck the Hall in the song. All the lyrics, Deck the Hall. Now I can find lyrics both ways. There's a blending of this one. So choose your one. They say now, it's somebody on that keyboard hacked in and said that the authentic original version was written as Hall, but updated versions now say Halls. So choose your reality on that one, or what you remember. But it's blended for me, because last year I was not finding lyrics that said Halls. It was all Hall, and that was a solid Mandela effect that we were saying this has changed. I just thought this is great. Great residual. This guy that finds this Star Wars Christmas ornament. You can look up his video here. You know, it clearly says, Luke, Luke, I'm your father. Remember the Grinch? You remember the Grinch Who Stole Christmas? That's the Grinch that I remember growing up with. It was always the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. That has become how the Grinch stole Christmas. Scarab did this awesome video on the attack on Christmas. He brought to my attention the upside down Christmas trees and this stuff with Bing Crosby and the the calling Jesus Jesu, and he says instead of get some, he says got some, and it's just, it grammatically doesn't sound right. He just nailed this one. It's a great video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. North Pole, I said that the ice cap seems to be coming back, at least for me, because I lived in a reality last year where there was no mention of an ice cap whatsoever. There were no images of the North Pole being stuck in ice. There was no idea of Santa taken off from the North Pole because there was no ice to live on. It was a sea. It wasn't called. It was just called the Arctic Sea. If you found the word Arctic at all, even the word Arctic was getting tough to find. It was like it's just water up there. But now I see we still acknowledge the North Pole is not what it was. But last year this was really strong. There's How the Grinch. And on the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me, like it's Amazon. And we remember gave. My true love gave to me. Settled in our brains in the poem. Merry Christmas to all. This is what we all remember him saying. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Not Happy Christmas to all. This is one that I noticed this year. This is the first time I've heard anybody mention it. So this will be the Guy Fawkes contribution to the long list of Mandela Effect changes. I remember, you know the Christmas plays where the angels appear before the shepherds and they say, "Glory to God in the highest, peace on earth, and goodwill towards man." That verse is gone. It's definitely not strung in that order. Somebody told me that the Tyndale Bible actually has it that way. I don't have a Tyndale Bible to check. I do have the Bible Hub, and you'll find it now saying "on earth peace." But peace on earth, goodwill towards men. So, like I said, and I thought this one was funny because it's got Nelson Mandela in the quote. Glory to God. Glory to God in the highest, peace on earth, and goodwill towards men. That pretty much sums up the exhausted Mandela Effect Christmas list. And hope you're having a good Christmas this year, and I will be working, so maybe we'll do a call-in. Thanks again. God bless.